Okay, we ready? Go ahead and call the special meeting to order. The date is July 31st, 2025. It's approximately 4:09 p.m. And we've already done this, but I think we should go ahead if we can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you're able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, if you would please do a roll call.
Commissioner Lisa DeVito.
Present.
Commissioner William Maury.
Here.
Commissioner Burton.
Here.
Commissioner Moore.
Here.
City Manager Derek Martin.
Here.
Finance Director Steve Conklin.
Here.
Public Works Director Keith Harris.
Here.
And I have finance, or my bad, Natural Gas Director.
Here.
Dave Frank, Mayor Myers.
I'm present. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. This is a special meeting. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you if you like.
All right. First line of business that I would like to discuss are the minutes.
Okay.
And what we provided are the original minutes. The first is for February 25th, 2025.
That was not what was delivered to you yesterday afternoon. This is what was in your seat when you got here today.
Correct. You are correct. What was delivered yesterday was the revised. And so you can look at the difference between the two documents and discuss amongst yourselves and
When you
vote.
say revised,
Yes, we had notes from Commissioner DeVito on the original minutes requesting a change. It was staff's recommendation to discuss them in this meeting for you all to decide.
okay,
What you want
Commissioners,
to
I'll
vote on.
entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the minutes of the February 24th meeting with some corrections.
25th.
Did I say?
Yeah. So we have the 25th and we have March 13th also. You can take them separately, okay?
But I
So
had some corrections.
we have a motion.
Is this for both?
No, this is just for the February 25th. February 25th, and you're talking about the original ones that's presented to us and that were tabled at some meetings ago.
I'm talking about both of them. Edited, the second version. There were just some corrections on that. Her name's spelled wrong.
Okay,
Okay, so you're saying you
So,
accept the
I don't
correction?
have a second yet, so you're accepting those corrections? Do I have a second?
Oh, well, I'm not clear what the motion is. Is he moving the ones in the packet?
He says he's,
Moving ones in the packet.
Okay, then, I will second that.
So who wrote these minutes? I have a question. Who wrote these new minutes? They're really not minutes. And I'm not sure, I don't believe that this has been this is not a standard, minute taking kind of thing here. This is like a little book or something. I'm not really sure. And I just am wondering why. I mean, who gave the okay to replace the original, minutes with these new revised minutes? Who gave the okay for that?
That would be me then.
Okay, and who did you have type these out? Did it come this way, or was it typed out by one of our clerks?
It was typed out by the clerks and we received it via email from Commissioner DeVito.
Okay, Mayor, can I just jump in here? Because
No, I'm not done. I
Well,
mean,
wait,
this is-
wait a second, ladies.
I have something to add that I think might answer her question, because I have a concern about it too.
Okay,
Okay, it's the same topic, and I think it will answer her concern.
let her finish her concern.
Well, has
Commissioner
somebody-
Burton, or do you want to hear from Commissioner DeVito?
I'll just finish it. These are not minutes.
Okay.
Okay,
Commissioner DeVito.
All right, so I did not know that these would be on the agenda. Normally, what happens is, if one of us has corrections or additions, those are shared with the city manager or clerk, and then they're distributed to all the other commissioners. And then we bring those back. We've had an opportunity to review the proposed changes. The clerk does not just incorporate the proposed changes without the other commissioners having a chance to look at them. I think that's what Commissioner Burton is concerned about, and frankly, I wasn't able, I just got this whole packet last night, I wasn't able to find my folder or the email that had the recommended additions and changes, so I don't even know if this is what I presented.
Okay,
What we need
So-
is the changes that were,
that were given, that were proposed.
right, and because I don't remember writing out a long summary, I don't remember, some of this does not look familiar to me.
Okay, well, let me just, for clarification purposes, our current clerk was out on, she had family leave. And so she is not the one that made these changes. We had Nancy, I believe, is the one that made those changes. It was my understanding that you gave those to Nancy
I did.
and asked her to incorporate those, but we've never seen what her actual changes were. This is more of an editorial. So
But
that's,
we're supposed to approve the changes,
I
we don't know
understand.
what they were.
we don't know what they were.
So the missing step to me is that, I mean, anytime a commissioner submits changes, whether it's to an ordinance or to minutes that are supposed to be considered at the next meeting, they should be circulated to all of us. And then by the time we get there, we can have looked at them and then we'll either approve them as a whole or we'll approve some of them and not all of them. But we don't know what those changes are, and I just don't recognize any of this. And I guess my request would be, because it's getting to be a long while back, that can we make the August 5th workshop a special meeting for the purpose of approving any minutes that are ready to be approved?
That's up to the commission. That's, so the backlog, so you would be looking at the backlog of minutes that we
Well,
have currently.
At least these, and I think I sent in requested additions or corrections to almost everything up until June.
Okay, so currently I've got a motion on the table in a second that I have to address.
Right.
Do we have any, sir?
Yeah, add to that.
Yes,
So at the time that we were approached, I did not know the proper procedure. I do now. And there was an email that was sent out individually to all of the commission in order for them to make any other additions or changes needed at the time. It wasn't all together. And that's when we originally had started that process, that there were issues with the actual minutes. So when this came in, I had Nancy go ahead and make the changes, and we brought them up to the commission meeting or prior to and said, hang on, we don't want to put these through, we need to have these reviewed by everybody and at that point.
Right, but we can't do that outside of a meeting. We have to have the proposed changes in front of us and we have to discuss them or vote on them in the meeting.
Correct. I know the procedures now.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So where we sit right now, we've got a motion and a second for those that have been amended, the minutes that have been amended. Do you want to continue with that motion, or do you,
I will draw my
You withdraw your
second because I agree with.
okay, so do I have
Commissioner
anybody else that's willing to do a second?
I would draw the motion.
You withdraw the motion. Okay, I'll entertain a new motion.
I move that we table this until the August, we decide whether it's workshop or not.
Right now, it's scheduled as a workshop, so we have to have a special meeting, following the workshop for minutes.
And I move that we table these until such time as we have a special meeting, hopefully August 5th after the workshop, for minutes.
Okay, do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Okay,
Waste of time. These should just be approved.
Well, we have to approve them. I mean, so we're gonna have to approve them, and we've got changes before us, so.
Can we at least go over March?
Well, you can go
March is the
over it.
same, March is the exact same issue that you have with February.
It's not this,
They're not
It's
changed.
the same, we
they're
don't,
changed, but they're not like that.
okay, but we don't have the changes in front of us.
Too
And
detailed about one thing.
Mayor,
Commissioners,
Well, and I'll just add that on the March ones, there are several ordinances, and they say they're approved, it doesn't say the motion, who made the motion, and then who seconded it, and then what the vote was. And that needs to be included.
right, and that was part of, I went back and
so I'll
made
entertain,
those additions and corrections.
so I'll entertain, a motion on the March minutes.
I move that we table the March minutes to such time as we have a special meeting in order to discuss them.
Okay? Go on a second. Table March minutes.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Commissioners, do we have any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Okay, commissioners, please, so moved, but commissioners, please make sure you get any changes that you want to, the clerk, or the city manager.
Yes, city manager,
City
please.
manager, send
Thank
to the
you.
city manager, and, to give, ample time for everybody to have, so we're not doing it at the meeting, you've had a chance to review these minutes, okay? But we're gonna have quite a few of them.
Mayor, just to be clear, any corrections or additions submitted by any commissioner need to be circulated to everybody.
Exactly, and
And then-
not incorporated into the minutes that are before us until such time the commission approves it.
Right, and for example, if they're my corrections and additions, they should be circulated to me as well, so that I know they went out, and if they're Commissioner Burton's or Commissioner Lori's, everybody should get what everybody else gets, even if you wrote them.
Okay, thank you. With that, we're gonna move on to our next business items, which is the Crescent City Natural Gas.
Yes, we need to give an update on the trees at P&L easement. Dave is here to speak, and also he has some guests as well.
Let me introduce.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Just for the record, my name is David Frank, the Director of our Natural Gas Department, and I thank you for this time to have FGU speak. I've asked SGU to come in here and speak on multiple topics about the future of Crescent City, possible ways for us to make money in our gas department, of course, trees, our rate study, and just certain issues. And I know it can get drawn out. I know y'all are pushed for time, whatever. You've been up here for 3 hours now, but they've come a long ways. They come from Gainesville, so I'm going to turn it over to it. I'm going to turn it over to Katie right now. Thank you.
Welcome, Katie.
Welcome
Good
back.
to see you again.
Hello, everyone. Again, just for the record, Katie Hall, General Manager and CEO of Florida Gas Utility. I have Chandler Corbin with us today, who's our Member Services Operations Specialist, and Tom Jeffrey, who I'm sure you all recognize as well. He's our Finance Manager and CFO. So you'll hear about from him right after I'm finished with the first couple items. So we're going to cover a couple of items here, but I'm going to try to go as fast as we can. Let's start with the really good news. So if you remember, I talked about the tree clearing over the gas line, that's your main feed, and we wanted to get some more information. The outstanding part was the tree mitigation costs from DOT. When we cut down trees, they get very worried about that. So we were authorized, last time I spoke about it, to get the tree survey done. We presented that for the permit through DOT. That the tree inventory cost us $4,500 to perform. And they originally came back, DOT came back with, as you see to the side right in front of you, originally it was about $44,000 of tree mitigation costs. Chandler did a very good job of strong arming them, and they ended up waiving all of that.
That's awesome.
So we thought that was a huge win. In addition to that, we talked about that we had changed our approach to our member service charges over the last 2 years. So now we have an accumulated net revenue refund that comes back to the city. You can see that presented on this estimate in front of you. So 2024 was just over 20,000. We expect 2025 to be at least 25,000. So of the $55,400 bill for this entire project, we will have over 45,000 of that covered. So that gives you, that's almost $100,000 worth of work performed for $9,550. I hope you're as excited about that as we were.
Yeah,
So, what you asked us to do was to bring back that final cost estimate, so that's what we're doing today. Again, it's at $9,550. We actually met with the tree clearing company prior to this meeting on the way out here. They actually think they could begin as early as next week if you approve this today, which is great timing because we don't have any hurricanes yet, so I think that timing is great. They will also bush hog the previous section that was already cleared, and then they did provide a quote moving forward, so it's about it is $4,000 to clear all of this for any future years, or to bush hog all of this. So that will be phase 1 and this next phase. So that's something you guys can include in your budget for years forward, so we don't have to ever do this again.
So we need an approval for us to extend that $9,550.
Yes, and part of it was how you wanted to spend that. So if you were just gonna pay that out of your funds, we can put it on gas bills, we can pull on our line of credit and charge you interest, that would be some expenses, but for $9,500, I think that might be a little bit overkill, but it's an option for you, so.
Should we ask Mr. Frank?
Yeah.
His recommendation?
Yes.
I mean, as far as our budget, we're going into the budget right now, we need the money now, so if there is no extra funds for that 9550, I say we go ahead and do a payment plan to them at an interest rate of whatever they're charging, but it's just to simplify this and to get it moving, because my main concern, I know y'all's is money, I'm not trying to be sarcastic, but I just want to get the trees down before we get a big blow in here. They're ready to do it. They're gonna bush out all that was done before. So, and then as she says, we've already got an estimate of what it would cost in the future to have this all bush hog, all of this at $4,000 a year, which to me for that footage, it's over like 6,000 feet. That's a good price.
Thank you. Steve? Derek?
Yes, ma'am.
Your recommendation for where this money should come from? Do we have it in the budget?
I'd have to take a look and see if we have a line item.
We need to look
Find out.
right now.
Yeah, and don't we have enough money in that carryover to do that?
But this, Mayor,
Yes,
should this come from the gas
it
department?
should come from the gas department. I'm hoping that he looks at, if not,
So, Mayor, could we have an alternative motion that if there's money in the gas department, it can come from them, and if not, then to request the line of credit from FGU,
I'll entertain any motion the commission wants to make.
if that will work, I would move that we authorize the $9,500 for the tree clearing plan and bush hogging for, I don't know what they call this.
$9,550.
$9,550, for clearing, the tree clearing in the San Mateo Heights area, from the gas department budget funds, if the finance director determines there's sufficient funds there, and if not, at the request of gas department director David Frank, that we use the line of credit offered by FGU and make payments with interest.
What's the interest in it?
Do you know where our interest rate is?
Probably in the neighborhood of 4 or 5%.
Okay.
Right, and is there a I'm sorry, Mayor, may I? Is there a penalty for advance payment if we use the line of credit?
No.
Okay.
I'll second that.
So we have a proper motion and a second. Commission, do we have any discussion? Commissioner Burton, you look like you have something to.
Well, no, I mean, I was thinking we did have a few minutes here, because we can just pay it up in full. This has been going on way too long, quite frankly. I think we started at 17,000, wasn't it, something like that, somewhere in that vicinity? And we were supposed to look to see if we had the money then. I guess we didn't look to see if we had the money then, because we're right back at it again today. So I don't want to give them a chance to look to see the money, for the money, okay, so.
Well, the motion that we have before us, it says that if they find the money, then we'll pay it out of that.
Okay.
If not, then the second option would be that we pay, that we do the line of credit through through.
And that line of credit is gonna be paid through what, gas bills or something like that? I mean, where do we get our, how's that gonna be done?
It'll come on the monthly gas bill, it'll be a separate line item on there. It'll be stated on there. There's a complete breakdown of 4 or 5, probably 10 different things on the gas bills. And each one has a line item and what the charge is, so it's not like it's one lump sum. It's broken.
And you're talking about the gas bill that comes from FGU. That's
Our
our
monthly
monthly
gas,
gas.
yes.
But not, to clarify, not the customer.
No,
Okay,
that's
so,
the natural gas, the big one.
right, so basically, it just makes it so if the money's not there in current gas funds, the gas department doesn't have to come back to us. We can just go ahead and,
And how quick can that actually happen for this to happen? Okay, we're making this, and can we do this, what, 2 weeks?
Well, by next week, tomorrow, I mean, that's, we authorize it. They're handling it, so it would be to them, so they would be scheduling, get that done, I hope to get it done by next week. Regardless of where the funds are coming from, that's still gonna get it scheduled next week.
We can do it outside of the gas, it's gonna have to come from a several line items, but we can pull it together. We can pull it together.
Okay, well,
my suggestion would be, just in case, can we leave the alternative in there?
let's leave it in. Okay, so we have any other discussion? If not, clerk, if you please do a roll call.
Commissioner Burton,
Yay.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes. Yeah, there you go.
Commissioner Lori,
I,
Commissioner DeVito, Mayor Myers.
Aye. Okay, so approved. Thank you all so much.
We will
taking
get started on that right away.
Yeah, for helping.
So,
Thank you.
$9,550 for $100,000 worth of work.
It's a good deal. It's a
That's
good deal.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to.
Okay. So the next couple items, I know that Dave Frank said that he forwarded you what we're now calling the sustainability plan. So again, the last time I was here, I know we covered quite a few areas that we could improve or grow the gas system and in preparation for some turnover with your staff. And it was a multi-level plan, and we said, let's memorialize something. And so that's what we went back and did, is we basically created that sustainability plan that outlines exactly our timeline. Let's start here, here's approximate timelines. They're not hard deadlines, but there's something to target to keep us on track. And so we basically proposed a 2-year plan there. The first part really affects or focuses on your rates and costs, which is obviously very important. Everything from there is more of how do we grow from that point on. So the first thing we want to talk about when I was originally brought in was how do we address the turnover that is coming? And so one of the areas that we identified was the wages that are, that the city pays compared to neighbors like Palatka or some of the investor homes that are nearby. And so what is on page 2 of what I provided you today shows your current salary and an hourly rate on the left side, and then a proposed rate, which does include the same numbers that are in your sustainability plan. Now, I understand that the first question is gonna say, where is that money coming from? And so part of what Tom is gonna present about after this is how our rate study works and how we can include that in the rate study to accommodate this higher pay. But what I wanted to do is have this discussion today to say, is this something that we want to look at and see if we can make happen? Because I think that this is going to be crucial to replacing your positions that would be vacant. And if we get this, we can work with Dave to start posting those positions, to try to get people in them as soon as possible and have some overlap for training and, a nice seamless transition. So I don't know if we want to talk about this specifically right now, or if we want to talk about this within the context of the full rate study. But this is something that was on that plan that we need to address at some point sooner or later.
Mayor, I do have one question.
Yes.
Okay, it's on my document, it's under hiring of staff on page 3. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Could I borrow yours?
Yeah. It's on the second one.
Thank you. I wondered what page numbers were on. Okay, I'm sorry, I think I put my notebook on top of something. Okay, so basically, that's what I wanted to see, it's a differential of
About $30,000.
30-something, yeah, a little more than $30,000, okay.
Correct, and again, that is assuming a full year, right? So that's assuming we fill it immediately. And I think, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, would there normally even be one more position? Would there be 5 positions in the gas department?
There'll be 5 counting the director and then 4 in the field, and we may be losing John very shortly.
Okay, so that is one thing that we could modify here, we only put the 4 positions, so, if that's the case, you would have one more at the entry level row, so we can modify this and show you what that looks like, but that looks like that would be another roughly $7,000 a year, so that would take you to about $37,000.
Entry level is 33,384 that we
Yes.
currently have.
Correct.
Go up to 40, and does this make us, competitive in the marketplace?
It does, and that's very in line with what Palaca pays, for instance, so you won't be potentially losing good help because they can make a little bit more money right down the road from you. So that was the number one, utility we wanted to measure your rates against, just because they're right in your backyard.
Okay. By the way, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's so easy for people to just snatch people because they pay them a little bit more money. Sometimes it's really not a lot more money, but it's enough to grab them. So.
It is, and just with the sustainability plan, especially focusing on next year where we really wanna focus on growth, to have a full staff, you would need to have a full staff to do that, right? Otherwise, your staff is just doing what has to be done to run the system and you can't focus on that growth. So you're almost kind of handicapping yourself because you're not able to use the full bandwidth of an entire staff. So we don't want to restrict it if growth is something we want to focus on. So it's a little bit of pay now to reap the rewards later.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, if we don't want to make any motion on this until we talk about the rate study, that's perfectly fine. And if that's the case, I'm going to turn it over to Tom and let him walk through a rate study and a rate stabilization fund. Those are the last 2 things on our agenda for today.
Okay, Commissioner, are you, okay with them going forward with that? With us making
I
a
am.
motion? Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, it's good to see everyone again. My name's Tom Jeffrey. I gotta remember my title because it's changed. I'm the finance manager and CFO for Florida Gas Utility. I've presented before many of you before, several times, so back again, talking about the same package that Katie worked from is the one I'm working from. Page 3 is natural gas rate presentation. Probably before I get into this a little bit, I think one of the items that came up was the FPL easement. And I've been asked to work on that, and I'm working with David, and he asked me to get an appraisal done for the easement itself. So I've got one company who gave me a quote for that to get an appraisal of the easement. But I think the ultimate goal is to get FPL, if they want the easement back, to pay for the removal of the whole section of pipe, all 5,000 feet. And we have an estimate of that, I think it's close to 50 grand to do that. And then you don't have any issues at all if they do that. And quite frankly, for FPL, $50,000 is pocket change.
Yeah.
They'll probably jump at that. Anyway, we'll continue to work with Dave to explore the options with FPL and then come back with a recommendation to you.
Hold on, yes, Commissioner Lori.
And I just wanted to get some more information on that. This is where we used to have a line running along 17 that goes past where the FPL pipeline plant was before. And so where is our line now that it's just in a different place?
Originally, that section of line was put in probably in 1960 as our system was being built. FGT owned the line, that was our gas, it had already gone through the meter. There was issues with cathodic protection with FPL's power plant, their storage tanks and us. FGT wanted to dump it real fast, so they offered us for $10, maybe 20, but that was back in the early 90s. So we took possession of it, being it had our gas in it. Then in 1997, the pipeline project, they always complained about the long-term payout to 2038. That line was built. That is now on the east side of Highway 17, up against the transmission power line.
Okay.
So this line was terminated in 1997, but the right of way, it's an easement for us. It's probably only like 20 feet wide, 30 feet in some sections, but it's 9/10 of a mile, almost a mile long. FPL is wanting to develop something in their property along.
They're building a battery storage facility there where their tanks used to be. So that's what, when I found out about that, that made all sense why this was all connected. So, okay. So we're on the east side now, this is on the west side of 17.
Right.
Okay, that makes more sense. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on the FPL easement? Okay, then we'll jump into the rates. So I got 3 items to really speak to today: the rate study itself, the rate, I have put together some rate comparisons. What do your current rates look like versus other utilities in the state? And then rate stabilization fund. So we'll start with the rate study. I think we last implemented a rate study for you back in 2021, October 2021. You requested us to do a rate study in July of 2023. We worked on that, but that never got completed or implemented due to other circumstances that, quite frankly, I don't recall what they were right now. I'm sure Dave probably does, but we're back now because I think you're interested in us doing another rate study. If we had gone forward with a rate study in July 2023, I looked at that, we were looking at something like a 20% increase in rates to customers, and we probably would have recommended you split that up over a 2-year period. Just to refresh your memory on the rate study, it's what's called a cost of service based rate study. So what you do is you take a look at what does it cost you to run the system and provide the service to the customers, and then you set your rates to recover that cost. And so that's how we would recover if you were to move ahead with increasing their salaries for the gas department personnel. We would just take the new annual costs and plug those into the rate study and use that as your personnel costs in lieu of what you actually have incurred in the past. Okay? So it's a very simple way of doing a simple process. I think I probably have explained to you in the past. It's a similar model to what the Florida Public Service Commission uses for investor-owned utilities. And that's the only way investor-owned utilities can change their rates. They have to get approval from the Florida Public Service Commission. You do not. You all have the power to change rates at your pleasure.
And I know last year, we increased our customer charge, correct? Was that, we did
As far as our minimum bill.
our minimum bills from like 15 to 18?
16 to 20.
Or 16, okay.
Okay.
And
So I may have some older rates in here.
but we're talking about, most of these are pro therm charge.
No, not necessarily. And I'll show you why. You control both the fixed charge or the customer charge and the per therm charge. Okay? And you control the cost of gas rate as well. So the next slide here, which labeled page 4 on the bottom right corner, is a comparison of your rates for inside the city limits to other utilities. Okay. Now, when you look at this chart, it's broken down on the left-hand side between the customer charge, that's the fixed charge every month. The distribution charge, that's the other component to cover your cost to provide services for your, pay your people, to do a leak survey, et cetera. The commodity charge is the recovery of the cost of gas itself, the commodity. And then the investor-owned utilities have some other surcharges, if you will, on the bottom, the energy conservation cost recovery charge, a swing service charge, and an infrastructure replacement program, because a lot of them have some old cast iron and bare steel, not good in your system, and they're on a rigorous program to remove that. What I'd like to focus on is the 4 utilities on the left: Central Florida Gas, Florida Public Utilities, Peoples Gas, and Florida City Gas. Those are all investor-owned utilities. The others are municipal utilities. And what we do is we have all of the charges. I've gone out and captured all these charges for everybody. And the typical monthly usage near the bottom is 15 units, 15 therms a month for residential customers. And so we just run that through and see how much it costs if you're on any system. And what you see is, I probably don't have the correct rates for you. If your customer charge is $20 and you'll be $5 higher, you'd be $39.28. But if you look over at the investor ones, they're all well above $40. Okay? And the other thing you notice is their customer charge is much higher than yours. Okay? And that's, from a rate making perspective, from a rate making perspective and from a revenue generation, that's really what you want. You want high fixed charges and low variable charges, because that's a more steady revenue stream for you. Every time you send a customer a bill, it's got a customer charge on it. And it takes a lot of the variables out of play. With cold weather in the winter, if you have a high fixed charge, you don't really care. If it's too warm in the winter, appliances are getting more efficient every year. Customers, the homes are getting more efficient every year. The envelope is tighter, so not much thermal energy going in and out of the home. All sorts of things that are not much of a factor if you adjust the fixed charge versus the variable charge. You can do both. We usually recommend both, but I think at long term you're better off with a higher fixed charge than you are with a higher variable charge. Okay, and that's what the other thing you see is if you look at the distribution charge, it's relatively low for the investor-owned utilities compared to the municipal utilities. I also want to point out Williston, just for your information. They just completed a major overhaul of their salary structures for their gas department, water department, sewer department, and electric, and much bigger increases than what you're contemplating. And they approved that. Very interesting that they would approve that, because their water rates went up 100%. The gas rates went up probably 50 or 70%. Electric rates, I think, went up 35%, and they approved all of that. So you look at Williston's rates, are very high compared to any other municipal.
Tom, can I ask, when did they do that? Did they just?
About a year ago?
Yeah.
Oh, a year ago.
Yeah.
And was it the case that they had not touched their rates for many years?
Yeah.
And then they had to catch up, which is.
Catch up was part of it, but also they're in the same situation. They're losing employees to other gas utilities because they weren't paying them competitively. Okay? Any questions on the residential? The next sheet is the same, but it's for commercial. And you see the same picture, okay? Same companies here. The investor owns are typically higher than the municipals, except for Williston. Look at Williston's commercial rates, $155 customer charge and almost $1.02 for the distribution charge. Extremely high rates for them.
How many commercial users do they have? Like, and what's our?
We only have 100 commercial.
That's more than I thought.
Yeah, I don't recall off the top of my head Williston's customer base, but so they are by far the highest price for commercial. Not necessarily by far. Central Florida Gas is pretty close behind. By the way, that's the company that I ran for about 16 years, the Central Florida Gas Company. And we intentionally were trying to drive up the customer charge. By the time I left, we were getting 75% of our revenues through the fixed charge, which is very nice to have. But a similar situation, the investor owns have a relatively high customer charge, relatively low distribution charge compared to municipals. And a lot of that has to do with the municipals don't always keep up with rates like they probably want to. So, any questions on that?
Commissioner.
Okay. So we will be performing a rate study. We have a directive, right, that will need to be signed for that.
We actually need to approve it, yeah.
Yeah, upon your approval, of course. So, and we'll get to work on that, and we should have that results back to you within 30 to 45 days for you to consider.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Lord. Commissioner Lord?
Is it possible to give us some ideas too of the size of these utilities, just to the market?
Sure.
Yeah, just because I want to try to look at, comparatively.
Well, just off the top of my head here,
FGU and all.
People's Gas is the largest in the state. They have almost 400,000 customers. Central Florida Gas, Florida Public Utilities, and Florida City Gas are now one company. Chesapeake Utilities owns all of that, but they still have separate rates. Combined, they're about 150,000 customers, they're closer to 200,000 customers. Clearwater is the largest municipal, about 25,000 customers. You have about 1,300, Dave?
Yes.
Williston probably has 700 or 800, 900 customers.
There we go.
Stark is probably similar to you, maybe 1,000 customers, 1,100. Palaca's a little bit bigger, they got 3,500 or so. The Kodiak has 8, depending on what number, you either have 800 or 1,400. So we're still trying to figure that out. And then Lake City is also larger, they're about 4,500 customers, something like that.
And I did have a couple questions.
Yes, Commissioner Davis.
Okay, thank you so much, Tom, you're always so clear. Two things, so I apologize, I forget, is there a fee for your rate study?
No, all the services that we're providing to you are included in your service charge.
Okay, so this one is included, there's
Yes,
no extra fee,
no extra fee.
and then, we have approximately 1,300 residential, and Dave just said 100, commercial customers. Part of this plan is to market, to increase our customers. And so if we are able to increase our customer base, does that help us lower some of our charges? I mean, or can we spread the cost of operating the whole system? Does it make it possible for us to either maintain rates or maybe lower them a little?
Growth is always good. Growth is without growth, you're going to end up increasing rates because you've got no one else to spread costs to. So as you pay people more, as inflation occurs, etc. Many of the costs of the utility are what I call fixed costs. You have to do it regardless of how many customers you have. So the more customers you have, the more ability you have to spread those fixed costs over more customers. So it's very helpful. It won't necessarily result in rates going down, but it'll reduce the slope of them going up.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you, that's helpful.
Is that it?
That's all I have.
Commissioners, any other questions? Commissioner Burton? No. Okay,
Okay.
so you need an approval from us to.
To do a rate study. Yeah, if you want to do that now, I can pause and let you take that action so we don't forget about it.
Okay, commissioners, does anybody want to make a motion?
So I move that we authorize Florida Gas Utilities to perform a rate study for Crescent City's gas system.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, do we have any other discussion? Okay, Madam Clerk, if you please do a roll call.
Commissioner DeVito?
Aye.
Commissioner Morey?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Burton? Aye. Mayor Myers?
Aye. Okay, so approved. All right, Rachel.
Thank you very much on that. Okay, so I've covered the rate study and the rate comparisons. So now we'll talk a little bit about a rate stabilization fund. So what is a rate stabilization fund, okay? Basically, this is pertaining to just the cost of gas, recovery of the cost of gas, okay? And this is just another tool in your toolbox to keep rates reasonable for your customers month in and month out. It's also to help ensure that you actually recover your full cost of gas. Sometimes companies don't do that. They think they are, but they actually are not. So this is a mechanism to help you do that as well. Make sure you're recovering all of the cost of gas and making sure that that cost of gas doesn't spike one month and drop the next month. So it smooths out this commodity pricing over time, okay? Why is that needed? Because natural gas is the most volatile commodity in the world. It moves up and down more than any other commodity. and has historically I've been in this 42 years, so all 42 years, it's a crapshoot every day that's gonna happen. So this is intended to insulate customers from this volatility. And a lot of companies use this, including all of the investor-owned utilities, have a similar mechanism. They don't call it this, but it's the same mechanism, okay? And so basically, you try to target a level that you think is a good level to have in this rate stabilization fund so that you can use that money in the times when the gas cost is typically the highest, okay? So you build this fund by adding an additional couple of cents to your cost of gas recovery in the summer months when prices are traditionally low, to build the rate stabilization fund so that in the winter time when the costs are typically higher, you can use that to avoid having to pass through the high cost of gas. You reduce that amount. And so there's an example. We have one of our other members, this is, I believe, Lake City, on the next page. They've targeted a rate stabilization fund balance between $300,000 and $500,000. You don't need anywhere near that amount. I think, I believe the city of Perry, his target's $50,000 in their reserve, okay? So this is just a snapshot of 12 months, July 2024 through June 2025. They've been using this a lot longer, so they already have balance on the right-hand side is the rate stabilization balance. And basically what's happening here, I'll work from the left columns to the right. You have the FGU invoice amount. This is what they pay us for the cost of gas. They have the actual number of therms that they sell to their customers. And so you take the cost of gas divided by the number of therms to get an actual cost per therm sold to customers, okay? And you can see, like for July, that was 0.482549. We asked them instead to charge 60 cents, okay? So they gained 11 cents, a little over 11 cents. That equated to 56,000. For the fiscal year, that was 109,000. That's not really relevant, but the whole overall balance of the rate stabilization fund from the prior month to this went up by 56,000 to 442,000 and change. That continued in August, and you see that we again asked them to charge a little bit more because the cost of gas is in the 48, 49 cent range. And that added another almost 25,000 to the balance, okay? And then prices started to go up. You see that in September, October, November, et cetera. And you start to see that we're asked them to charge less than that actual cost of gas. And that reduces the rate stabilization balance. So they try to not go below 300,000 and they try not to get that balance above 500,000. Okay? And that's all it is. So you're not actually charging the actual cost of gas to your customers. You're charging something slightly different to keep that fund available to eliminate these high prices in the winter. Like January was almost 75 cents a therm instead of 48 cents a therm. That keeps your customers from calling you complaining about high bills. Okay?
And so it doesn't lock in the rate, but it does level out.
Correct.
Ups and downs.
You can see that we had them charged between 55 cents and 65 cents during the winter months. And then in the spring, April, May, and June, prices have really come down. And so we've been able to lower that overall cost to the 40 cent, 45 cent range. And it still is adding money to the rate stabilization fund.
And this is something that you just calculate for us. We don't have to every month figure this out.
We provide your staff with a spreadsheet. We review that upon their request, and we train them, we walk them through it. We're always there for help. But this is very simple. They plug in a few numbers, and it calculates everything for them.
Can I ask
Yes.
Dave a question? How do we determine our rate that we charge right now?
Right now, whatever our bill is, determine on how much gas we actually sold, we divide up to that.
So just like this, the actual cost per therm sold, is
Right,
what
but-
we charge our customers?
On this one here though, Tom, as far as the line there after your your city charge per therm used, you've got a loss. I'm taking that next column is to a loss not accountable. If we buy 1,000, but we only sell 800, that's 200 therms we've lost on the pipeline somewhere, but, so we're figuring that into that rate also.
No, you're not really losing that, it's just a difference. We bill you on a calendar month, gas that you bought from the first of the month through the 31st.
Right.
Your meters are read during the month, so their gas usage could be from the 10th of the month to the 10th of the month.
Correct.
It doesn't line up, but this works itself out, so we keep an eye on that lost and unaccounted for. But it works itself out over a 12-month period.
Beautiful.
So, okay. And this just gives us a way to flatten out our costs. So in addition to hedging, if we were gonna hedge, or if we were gonna do, well, we have fixed price contract, or purchase contracts, we also do.
You have discounted gas, you're enjoying those discounts.
So this is just another way to do this.
Correct, this is just another tool in your toolbox to help stabilize prices to your customers.
Which just
So they're
makes it
not
easier
paying-
for the plan, makes it for us to plan, kind of, because I always do personally, when I get my utility bill every month, it's always, it's always confusing to me. I use less therms and the price goes up, I pay more, but that's just because of the fluctuating cost. And I don't know about anyone else, but, it's easier to plan when you know better, what that price is gonna be.
That's correct. It's better for the customer, it's better for your staff, because when prices go way up, you're not charging that high price, and customers aren't angry, why did my bill double, and they're calling your staff to ask them why.
This is similar to what your electric companies offer.
Yeah.
They call it budget billing.
Yeah.
This is similar to that, but it's not they true it up at the end to make sure that you pay for every kilowatt hour that
They
you
get
consume.
they do, yeah,
There's no true up here.
they recover their costs, yes.
Right. It's a rolling true up, if you will. They don't see a spike or oops, you didn't pay enough. Here's another $50 you owe us. So,
Commissioner Ward, though, I didn't quite answer your question all the way. If we take the amount of gas that we sell versus what the bill is, we divide that out, it gives us a cost. Then we have a set rate of 87 point something and change per therm, which is added to that amount,
Which is.
plus the minimum of either $16 or $20, whether you're residential or commercial.
Okay.
Now, with the city bills, it gets confusing because you've got water and gas on there. Years ago, you always got two separate bills, but hey, we can save 10 cents on the stamp, so they stuck them together.
More than 10 cents now.
yeah,
More than 10 cents now.
yeah.
But so so like we were talking about on the rate study, if once we do that, those are the commodity charge and then the infrastructure charge, that's what we add on to it, so then, okay. So. that
And
one-
there's other charges too, other than just the gas. I mean, there's transportation, there's reservation,
Right.
did we overburn, did we underburn? There's multiple factors, but our monthly bill breaks each one of those items down with a cost and with an amount. It's very, very clear as far as how the bill states.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay.
We just implemented about a year ago a new system that does all of this for us.
Now, it has to take time to build up this balance to start to stabilize.
Correct.
Now, in our case, I don't think we have any balance, do we?
No, you'd be
So
starting at
we're
zero,
starting at zero.
right?
So approximately, how long would it take to build up to, where we have a few cents in there that we can maintain and stabilize? What do you think? I mean, just,
Well, so the first thing is to determine what balance you want to target. 100,000, 50,000, whatever. So pick a number you like, it doesn't matter. Then we would help you to build that fund up as quickly as you can to, before the winter hits, okay? And with prices down where they are now in this 40-cent range, this is a good time to do it because people don't mind, they won't see a difference between 40 cents and 50 cents
Right.
low, okay?
okay,
And if you add 10 cents, just as an example, right? Depending on how much you sell, that could add $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 a month.
It would also to involve a change in our billing computer program because
no matter if we're saving money or whatever, it always goes to the customer. It helps the customer because they get a lower rate, but there's gonna have to be something on the programming that's going to pull that amount to the side or whatever, or otherwise the savings just goes to the customer or back to zero.
Part of our training is we work with your accounting group to make sure it gets accounted for. If they know we've added, say, 10 cents, which they should know what is happening, then they can account for it properly.
Okay.
Okay? And it may take a software change, it may not. It may just be an accounting exercise.
Yeah, we just don't want the accountants to come at the end of the year, oh, you're stealing money. No, we're not. It went, this.
No, it gets set up on the balance sheet as a liability because you've already collected the money and you gotta pay it back to the customer over time.
Okay.
So
All of that has been worked out by other members, and so we bring that expertise, and that's part of the service you get for this. If you choose to move forward with this, is we would train your folks on how to do it and how to account for it.
And so what do you think we need to, is 50 to 100,000, is that too much for us, doing our volume?
So probably more like maybe 25.
Is that,
We would work with Dave to come back with a recommended, if you all need to approve that, or you could authorize him to establish that, or however you want to do that. I would say no more than 100,000 and probably closer to 50, 25 to 50. I just haven't looked at your bills lately, to be honest with you, so.
Mayor, yes, I mean, we have to approve fees, so my guess is we would have to approve that.
We have to prove this too,
Yeah.
So how many of your clients, what's your percentage of clients that have gone in this direction?
Some of them may have it and I don't know about it because they don't necessarily use us for rates. I know of at least two, and I think that even a third one that's doing this. But all the investor owners do this. It's just called a separate mechanism, but it's in essence, this is what it is. So this is very common. This is not unusual. And for all the reasons I described. It helps you and it helps your customers.
and it's not really a risk to us because we're not gonna lose money. We'll decide how much money to set and charge for it. And so, I mean, it really just is better for us and better for customers.
Yeah.
To just give some forecasting and ability to plan.
Yeah. Now, earlier I mentioned natural gas is the most volatile commodity, and on a daily basis it is, but when you look at it on a monthly basis, it has a very distinct pattern that's been the same pattern for 40 years, and that is the prices are low in the summer months and they go up in the winter months. They come back down in the summer months, they go back up in the winter months.
Unless
And
it's Russia.
That's year after year after year.
And they all go through the roof, right?
So if you choose to move forward with this, we have a directive that you could approve to execute, and then we can come back for you to set the level, if that's what you choose us to do, as well as, to fully implement.
Okay, commissioners. You have any discussions? Any thoughts on this?
A motion, or,
Dave, do you want to make
We would need a motion, right?
Yeah.
I move that we authorize FGU to do the research necessary to establish a rate stabilization fund in consultation with our city manager, and bring that back to us with a number at such time that you figured it out. Or have a
The
recommendation, a
target stabilization fund level.
right, yeah. And give us, crunch the numbers.
Okay, I have a proper motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a proper motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion, commissioners?
Just a question, and so this also is at no charge, this is like included service?
Every service that you receive from us is included in your service charge. Unless there's certain services that we use third parties, and you would pay that third party for that third party. This is not one of them. This is all internal, no additional cost.
Just clarify.
Okay, we have a proper motion and a second. I'm going to ask Madam Clerk if you do a roll call for us, please.
Commissioner Burton,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Lori,
Aye.
Commissioner Peluda,
Aye.
Mayor Myers.
Aye. Thank you,
That's all I have, unless you have further questions.
thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Pleasure
Thank
to
y'all
be
for
here.
coming over. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we'll come back to follow up in a meeting or two. We can present that and the hedging and kind of keep going on that sustainability plan as we chip away at all of this.
Great.
That's great. We are very lucky to have you guys as partners.
Yes, thank
So
you.
we-
Thank you very much.
And we hope that you come and visit us again.
We will.
We will.
They will.
Thank you so much.
They will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so next,
Can I ask the commission to move the resolution up? We have friends from the county
Yes.
that are here to speak, and we're having a little technical difficulty with retail.
Sarah's waiting.
Is she waiting?
Yes.
Can we
She's
still?
fine.
She's not.
Okay,
I don't know how long this is.
It's expired.
yeah,
She's having issues, so.
Okay.
Having issues.
She's on standby.
Okay.
Waiting her.
then
Hers should be,
it should be pretty quick.
it should be pretty quick. It's
Okay.
just a quick.
We'll carry on then if we can unmute her and get her to speak. So just so you all know, there is a grant out there through Florida Commerce. We were approached by Sarah Beth with Retail Strategies and for us to have through their company in this grant, a comprehensive implementation strategy. They would take, and we've already sent the information, they would take our comprehensive plan and actually create a strategy plan in order for us to implement that.
Gonna take our master plan.
Our master plan, yes, I'm sorry, yes, our master plan. And so, she could talk about the cost. This is a multi-year plan and so she's on the phone.
No, she's not.
As she fell out.
Yes. Because we expired on our time.
So basically what I'm looking for is approval from the commission to move forward. The deadline is tomorrow. They've already put everything together for this grant. And so it would have to be something that you all vote on tonight.
And so this grant, it's my understanding that, the highest it pays maximum is 75,000.
Correct.
It is for those that have innovative planning strategies.
Correct.
She needs to reconnect with us.
And does she implement the planning strategy itself? And how much are we paying them to do that?
I believe the first year is 45,000. I didn't bring the data because she was
Okay,
gonna
so-
present, but I believe it's $45,000 for the actual plan itself,
Which the grant,
which the grant would pay for.
Although she
And
has-
more so-
$45,000 lives on that, she's back, correct?
Correct.
She's back on.
All right.
She see us? No, she
Here
is.
she
is.
Can she hear us?
Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah,
I mean,
unmuted. She's muted. She's still muted.
she's still muted.
You're muted.
Oh, no.
You're muted. Aren't you?
Where are we at?
I think she's muted. She has to unmute herself. Or just look up there.
Sarah, can you hear us? You need to
Can you hear
unmute.
Sarah?
Yeah, she is still muted.
There we go.
Yes, I can hear everyone.
All
Awesome.
right. Thank you. So please do, you have the commission's attention. Please do tell us about this grant and the opportunity that the city has and how you can help us get there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much for the opportunity to chat with you guys today. I'm Sarah Beth Stewart. I am the Vice President of Community Partnerships at Retail Strategies. I've been working in the state of Florida for 8 years, so I am well versed in all things Florida communities and know your community quite well. My company does have a partnership with the county chamber and on the national recruitment side of things. But as I understand it, you guys have a really great downtown, just needs a little bit of tender loving care. And so that's what our downtown platform offers to communities. It is here to take your master plan that you guys have already invested in and to put it into practical action steps. So the grant in question is through Florida Commerce. It is the Competitive Florida Partnership. Last year, I helped 3 communities apply for and receive that grant. So I know it very well. I have already written the narrative for Crescent City. It just would need small little tweaks, make sure that it is, you guys have your eyes to it, so the city manager and the assistant city manager and the mayor can all work through that, making sure it has all the i's, dots, and the t's crossed. So the grant would fund a partnership with Downtown Strategies. It would cover that cost. It is a 1-year grant cycle, so we would partner with you guys for the next year. And basically what we would do is to take your master plan, other comprehensive plans and strategies, and formulate a 5-year action plan. We are not big on plans. We are really big on implementation. The last thing we want to do is for this plan to sit on the shelf or any of your other plans to sit there. So we actually set up local action teams to see the implementation through of your master plan and these other strategic plans. Those action teams are typically smaller forms of people just taking small action steps. We work with the core team to identify who are those worker bees in your community, those stakeholders that want to see this plan implemented, and we work with them to implement those solutions. And it could be anything from a facade grant improvement, it could be from street trees and planters, or it could be more catalyst type of projects to business recruitment. There's so much that goes into identifying what is that best path forward and how do we get there and how do we make sure this plan is activated so that your taxpayers see the work in action. I know there's a lot of other items in the downtown that are a question. I know the school is something that needs to be discussed. That's something we would take a hard look at to make sure that we're really looking at the best path forward for Crescent City.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much, I appreciate that.
Commissioners, do you have any questions?
I do.
Okay.
Okay, so, and I'm never sure where to look. Am I supposed to look at the laptop? Right. So, hi, Sarah Beth, this is Lisa DeVito. We met at the League of Cities Annual Conference several times, I think. So essentially, if we authorize you to apply for the grant for us, and what is the new name of this department? That we would be applying, which department issues the grant?
Florida Commerce.
Okay, so you would not charge us to apply for the grant, is that correct?
Correct, yeah, there is no fee due to me, or there's nothing for the application. All that I ask is that you guys do submit it ahead of the deadline, which is tomorrow at midnight. So as long as that is done, that's all I ask.
Okay, and when, do we know when they would make the award and when the grant funds, if were chosen, would be available?
I'm not 100% sure. The website online does not clarify that. Last year, the communities that did apply, they found out while we were actually at the Florida League of Cities conference last year. So that conference is here in a few weeks. I assume, and it's an assumption, this is Sarah Beth Stewart's just wild guess. I assume that they would award the grant within the next 30, 60, maybe 90 days. From there, Florida Commerce would work out a contract with the city to say, hey, yes, we are going to accept these funds. And then the city and the Commerce would lay out what are those deliverables that would be due back to Commerce. You would then contract with Retail Strategies to engage on that downtown strategic platform. All of the deliverables that would be due to Commerce to ensure that their dollars were put into action. My team and I would put together those deliverables and have it ready for you guys to submit to Commerce to prove that these things did happen.
Okay, so that explains it, and I asked about the timeline because different departments have vastly different timelines. So this would be pretty much in the near future. And
Yes.
The website does say that all project must be completed by May 30th of 2026. So
okay, so it's
I think they have to do it soon.
right. So it's a short approval timeline, and actually there's less than a year to then to completion. But our staff does not have to prepare the deliverables. You folks do that.
Correct.
Okay, and then we pay you from the grant funds.
Correct.
Any other questions?
Well,
You have a question? I think you look like it.
does our city, I mean, you've already seen the application that's been prepared?
Not the application that's been prepared, I saw the information on the grant, that's all. She has worked on it, but I have not received it yet. We
Okay,
wanted approval with you all first before we move forward.
but you feel like you could get this done by tomorrow? by the-
Yes, yes,
Okay, alright. Good enough?
Okay, I'll entertain a motion if the commission wants to.
I do have one question.
Okay.
Yes. So if this is not approved, if the grant is not approved, do you still get paid? If the grant is not approved, are we still paying you dollars?
No, you don't have to. If you do not get the award of the grant, you can choose, hey, we still really want to do this. There's a lot of work in it. Then we can move forward. It would just be taken out of your municipal budget, but you are not held to that right now.
All right.
We will not have entered into a contractual agreement with them
correct.
until such time that grant's awarded and we decide to take the deliverables.
Right, so essentially, if we're not successful with the grant that they prepared, they will move on to somebody else. Like we just, right, they lose that work they put in, but they've pretty much done the work, right?
Yes.
That's what it sounds like.
I move that we go ahead and authorize the grant application for the competitive Florida partnership grant for fiscal year 2025-26, and authorize the city manager to fill out the application, working in concert with Sarah Beth from, I'm sorry, I forgot the name.
Retail strategy.
Retail strategies, I was gonna say strategic retail, that's all right. Retail strategies.
Okay, I have a proper motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a proper motion and a second. Any other discussion, Commissioner? If not, Madam Clerk, if you do a roll call for us, please.
Commissioner DeVito,
Um,
Commissioner Lori,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Burton,
Aye.
Mayor Myers.
Aye. Okay, so good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beth. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Sarah.
Sorry for the delay also.
yeah, thank you for waiting.
Yeah, no worries.
Appreciate
Appreciate your time. We'll see you guys later.
Okay.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Our next item is going to be the item C, resolution setting the tentative maximum millage for the 2025-26 fiscal year.
We had asked if you want to have them come introduce them and have them come up, because we asked before we go into setting the millage for them to explain
Yes,
to us.
correct.
Yes.
You gentlemen like to come up, introduce yourselves.
I just have a question about the resolution, the first paragraph. Is it supposed to say tax, do we have the correct tax year 2025?
Tax rate.
2026.
Okay, okay, because the one that was passed out still says 2025.
And it's still that we can change it. They used the example that was there and said we can change.
Right, I just wanna make sure we do not overlook that while we're at it. And frankly, I never know which year we're in for fiscal year.
We're looking at the fiscal year 25-26.
Right, but see where it
I
says
understand.
tax,
I
I
understand.
wanna get the correct tax year.
Yeah.
And I guess our property appraiser can tell us that.
Yes.
Yes. Please come up, gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Clay Davis. I'm the Clinton County Property Appraiser. I have with me today Justin Edwards. He's my Chief Deputy. Justin has been certifying our tax roll, working for our tax roll for many years. So he's an expert in that regard. Mr. Martin, what would you like for us to help with?
I wanted you to explain the certification taxable value, just so they understand the differences this year and why the rollback rate changed, of course, to what it was higher.
Yeah, so I think I'll begin with an overview, kind of an overview of what's occurring in the market. Putnam County is not new. The taxable value that we have seen in Putnam County has increased from 3.9 million in 2019 to 3.9 billion in 2019 to 7.4 billion in 2024. So it's essentially almost doubled. If you look back prior to 2019, going all the way back to 2009, you'll see that the taxable value was up and down a little bit, but basically it was stable. What we're seeing now is, I can tell you what Amy Baker, who's the economist for the state of Florida, in the February 28th revenue conference that they held, when they were discussing revenue, she was very reluctant to use anything that occurred since 2020 because of the pandemic and values going up. She doesn't perceive that to be a normal market, so to speak. And so, as an overview, I would be very reluctant to anticipate double-digit increases as you've seen in your budget over the past 5 years. I think you don't have to be a real estate expert to see that the market's kind of in a pause now. It may continue to go back up. It may actually stay stable and may go down some. What we're seeing is that it's kind of coming down some. So what that looks like moving forward for a budgeting, from a budgeting perspective, I would say that I would be very, very reluctant to think that you're going to continue to have these double-digit increases that you've seen during these past 5 years of what is mostly perceived as maybe an abnormal market. Now, for this year, your real property taxable value is up 6%, give or take. But TPP, tangible personal property, which makes up 34% of the taxable value, which is essentially $2.5 billion. So it's a big player as it relates to the revenue sources that you'll see. It was down. For Crescent City, it was down 16.78% this year. There was a couple of reasons for that. Of course, the equipment depreciates, right? So that is such a large portion of the taxable value that you're going to have, equipment taken out of service, equipment put into service. So that has a tendency to move up and down as well. Does that help?
So we're minus 16%, is that right?
Not overall.
No, but in our TPP, we're minus 16%.
Correct.
And all of this is done with the computer algorithm. I mean, this is not something that you can point to a specific place that, it's just a large amount of money that was frankly just a shock to all of us. And I mean, to have your rollback rate be higher than your current tax rate is not something that normally happens. And it frankly kind of threw us off our loop for the last 2 months. But there's nothing that you can point to as specific reasons. I mean, is this happening countywide and statewide, or?
Well, as far as the TPP is concerned, decrease in TPP, so I think you may have heard about the FPNL. I think it's,
We've heard secondhand.
it's made its way around to every taxing jurisdiction. I'll give you an overview. Basically, FPNL had booked some of their TPP in Putnam County incorrectly. That should have been in surrounding counties. They realized that mistake. They realized that mistake in 24. They lowered, so it was increased in 23 incorrectly, and they realized that mistake in 24. Now, what's kind of left out of everything that's being discussed with that, they could have requested us to do a correction for 23 and remove all of that incorrect equipment that they booked in Putnam County. We would have done it through a certificate of correction. It's a material mistake. We could have been able to do that, no problem. But we asked them not to do that. We asked them to step it down. So they stepped it down last year. They stepped it down this year. Now, what happened though, I think, is what the overall discussion should be, is that was masked some last year because we had increases in the real property side. You see these increases in real property, so it's increasing essentially double digits. You wouldn't have seen that any time prior to 2020. You would have, that would have happened in 2019 all the way back to mid 2020s when we had the increase. You would have been in the same position you are today. I think we've kind of gotten used to these double digit increases over the past 5 years, and anything less than a double digit is kind of shocking to us. You are up this year. Your taxable values are up in Crescent City this year. It's just not up what you're used to seeing over the past 5 years.
So we're up to over 6%, a little over 6% in our taxable value.
I think your taxable value is up about 1.5%.
1.5, but we're also looking at this with the TPP. How does that impact that?
That's your overall taxable values of 1.44%.
1.4, but what I'm looking at is our property, not the TPP, but our property is, you're saying it's up over 6%.
Mhm.
Okay, that's where I was coming in at. So that's over 6%, but then we're taking this hit on our TPP.
Correct.
So that's where we come in at the 1.4?
44, yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Where are we in relation to with our TPPs? Because it looks like we've taken a pretty big hit. Where are we in relation to the other municipalities?
I don't know.
You don't
I'm not to that right
Okay.
Mayor, I have a question. So, you were right, we heard about the issue with the tangible personal property, valuation, and that it was from, an error by FPNL. And, I appreciate very much that you asked them not to ask for an immediate correction. But, as Commissioner Lori said, we did hear about this secondhand, and I was very, curious. I don't understand why, since this affects everyone in the county, this affects taxpayers, residents, businesses. I was very surprised that we just heard about it kind of through the public entity grapevine. Would it not have been easier and more informative for the public to do a memo and send that to all the taxing entities? Would that not be helpful?
Well, so the FPNL, that has been, of course, that occurred a couple of years ago, right? Happened, actually 23 is when they overbooked.
Right.
So last year, you would have been notified last year technically, but we didn't know this year that it was gonna be, the values, we work on the values all the way up to our preliminary tax roll.
Right.
Which there should be a separation from taxing authorities and the property appraisers, because the whole idea is that property appraisers doesn't receive pressure from the taxing authorities because their budgets are going down. Now that we have a preliminary tax roll from July the 1st, then we can have a conversation about it. And that's the purpose of this time period, is for you to work on your budgets and us to assist you in any way that we can. But I would be leery. Now, again, this TPP issue, that was a discussion. If you have four, essentially, well, yeah, let's just say three. I'll combine real property, commercial, and residential together. You have three essentially assessed, you have TPP, and you have real property, right? You're talking about 7.5 for the county, $7.5 billion. So you're taking one aspect of that, a third of essentially 34% of the tax roll, and then you're taking one entity out of that, saying, well, that's the reason we find ourselves in this position. I would caution you to understand that last year, the reason it happened, it was down last year, but there were increases that overcome that. And on the real property side, we were still climbing last year. Because our assessments are based on January the 1st. We're using sales that occurred prior to January the 1st. So when we set values this year, we're using sales that occurred in 2024. So we're by design, we lag behind the market. So I would say to that, the overarching thing that I would do with the commission is, this may be the new normal, that there's not all these double-digit increases that you're going to see. That we may be actually going back to a static or somewhat decreasing market.
That is very, but I do just feel, I don't know the ins and outs of your job, but I do feel that as the public entities can know about what to expect, like this is very helpful that you come here, as soon as possible is extremely helpful. And, we didn't have much notice and neither did the public, so I would just encourage you to see if you could find a way, you've done a great job today, to make this information a little easier to access. And by taxing entities, the public, so people, I know that there's a lot that goes into it, but so that we're kind of down to the final deadline right now.
Well, June the 1st, we provided you with a number 2 months ago, essentially, we said, this is what your number's gonna be. And you received that same notification last year. So it's not too difficult to tell the difference between the two. So you were notified a couple months ago. It may seem like it's the 11th hour now, but we notified you then, and we didn't notify you again, so we got a preliminary tax roll and began a discussion with, we're willing to help any of the taxing authorities that need our assistance, but we don't know they need our assistance until they request our assistance. And but again, the overarching discussion should be, you gotta make sure that we don't look at an abnormal market as a normal market, and this is abnormal. I think you're gonna find we may be going back to, and there's so many moving parts involved with it, which is why we're doing a disservice to this FP&L discussion. This year it's TPP. We may be up again next year. It all depends on what comes online. It's such a large tax roll, and it's such so many moving parts in it, it's very difficult to say. But overall, you don't have to be a real estate expert to realize that things, like the cost approach, for example. A 2x4 in 2022 went from 2019, it went from $2.45 to almost $6 in 2022. It's back down to $2.45. So when the materials are not as expensive as they were, then of course the builders are less. So if I have a home that I've been living in, if I could buy a new home for less than I'm trying to sell my current home for, then I have to lower my value. I have to get down below and principal substitution, right? Why would I buy a used home when I can buy a new home for less? So that's kind of what we're seeing, is that values are coming down. But, TPP's $2.5 billion, that is a moving animal. It's constantly moving up and down. They add new equipment, GP may add new equipment. FP&L may take equipment out. It's a constant moving thing. But again, I'd remind you, this occurred in 2023. Not this isn't the first year this occurred. It happened last year as well. But, go ahead.
Yes, Commissioner Lori.
You said that, and not to overdo the FPL issue, but it seems to, I would just like to understand a little better. You said they agreed to step it down. Does that mean that this is the last year that's gonna go down, or is it gonna go down the next year?
This is the last year.
Okay, so.
Well, now this is the last year for them overbooking. Right? It may be down again next year for the same amount. On the $2.5 billion TPP, they make up, like 11-12%, I think it is. Of actual? Yeah, of the total tax roll, including real property. So, they may be down if they remove equipment plus depreciation, they may be down again, a similar amount. That was the county reached out to us, administration. I have no issues discussing it with administration at any time. I just think there should be a separation from the boards and the property appraiser, so there's not a perception from the public that there's undue stress on the property appraiser. That's why he's increasing values. So setting that aside, the county administration reached out to us and said, hey, can you help me understand what's going on? And it was an email that we responded to them, and that was just one of the things. FP&L's down on their TPP, Georgia Pacific's down on their TPP, Seminole Electric's down on their TPP. They were all down this year, but they chose to pick FP&L out because of this. I said on there, this is kind of why they're down more than Seminole and more than GP, and then they chose to focus on that. But it's not a one-year thing. That's what I want to leave the board with. I would be very reluctant to say, well, next year we're going to be back up because we don't have this FP&L thing anymore.
Well, I think most of us have been in Florida residents long enough to remember real estate ups and downs and what that has done at times to local government budgets. And so things are cyclical.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And so FPL, those are our three, Georgia Pacific.
Yeah, they make up a large portion
Of the TPPs.
Correct, well, and the property
yeah,
tax, the total tax bill, that's 1, 2, and 3 for the total taxable value of the county.
I have a question just for Justin. Justin, so just on our property, values, at that 6, that up, where we're 6% up, that's pretty standard. Is that pretty standard for us year over year? I mean, where are we?
So, 2023,
to now, you're up 16% in real property. Last year was only 6%.
So last year was 6%.
No, the year before last was 16,
Was 16,
now it's 6 for this year.
okay.
Okay, so it has come down, and we had a conversation, I think it was last week. We kind of went through, you had questions about the 3% cap and the 10% cap, and now you should be
It should be
recapturing.
at least up 3%,
Right,
yes.
and you're up 6.25%.
okay.
So, and that's, like you said, due to the fact that even though we have lowered our valuation on a lot of real property, we lowered our base rates to 2023 levels. We've lowered a lot of land values based on what the market has done the previous year. So those values did come down, but the cap values still continue to go up, at 3% for homestead, 10% for non-homestead, and then whenever there is a sale that occurs, it goes back to just value. But if they didn't have a cap, then the value would come down. So that's why you wouldn't see like across the board, 10% for non-homestead, across the board, 3% for homestead.
If the market, so we know right now we're in a stagnant market. We know interest rates yesterday did not go up. Or yesterday, day before, whenever they were doing it, they did not. I mean, they didn't go down, they didn't go down. So it's probably gonna maintain that for a little while as far as the homes. But would you go back in and do a reassessment? I mean, is that something that you would do?
We reassess every year based on January the 1st.
Okay.
So what we've given you is, we're pretty much done with our work for 2025, January 1, and we're now working on the next year. It's a year-long process, and I will say one thing about like the tangible, reporting that information. So tangible is due on April the 1st. It's a self-reporting, real property, we go out, we visit the properties, see what you've built, what you've done with the land, value that. Tangible personal property, they report to us what they have in the business itself. And then we value it. They have to give it to us by April the 1st, and they can get an extension of the 45 days, which takes us into May 15th. Our big guys, they take that extension because they have complex books, okay? So we're usually getting that information in the middle of May, and then try to turn around as fast as we can to give you a good valuation for your June 1 estimate, okay? And you'll usually notice that the June 1 estimate's coming here, your July 1 kind of comes a little above it, and then your final comes a little above that. Because I don't want to give y'all a high number and have to backtrack. I'd rather give you the most conservative number, and then you can add on to it and help your budget that way. So I'd rather help you than hurt you. And that's usually why your June 1 number is a little bit lower, comes a little higher for preliminary, and then your final is a little higher than that. And, when we get our evaluations from them, what they report to us, that's when we then start to, scrutinize what they've given us and come up with our evaluation. And if it's higher, I'm gonna take the lower of the two and hopefully get to that higher number. But if I have to retreat, I don't wanna hurt you in that retreat. Okay, does that help? Just like we were doing earlier today.
Yeah, just like we were doing earlier today. It's difficult for us because we have to, of course, explain to, we're gonna have to explain to our citizens, especially since, our rollback is higher than even our historical, millage rate.
So the rollback being higher than historic, okay, and I'll say the preface with this, that's a Department of Revenue calculation, that's not a property appraiser calculation. Y'all have a role to play in this, we have a role to play in this, so I can help explain a little bit, but understand that I'm not the rule setter for that. I just have been around the block a
Could
little bit.
you, just for purposes of anybody listening, could you explain that? So
Sure.
everybody has a general understanding.
So the rollback rate is there to get you the same amount of money that you got last year for the same amount of properties, okay? So in that situation, they take out new construction for the calculation of the rollback. Because the example I'd like to give is, you want to get the same amount of money you got last year, but guess what? You just had a new subdivision come in and they built 100 houses. You now have to service those 100 houses with fire, with police, water, sewer, whatever it may be. So if they give you exactly the same amount you got last year, you have a hole now, right? So that's why they pull the new construction out of that calculation. But when you actually get your millage rate, you're able to recoup that, okay? So it's just taken out for the calculation of rollback. Then they look and see if you have any tips, which you have 3. And so they look and see what tips did you have last year, how much you have to pay it, what are you projecting that you'll have to pay this year in tips. So I believe that when we discussed it, last year was about $150,000 that was paid out to tips. And this year, projecting about $180,000 that has to be paid out to tips.
Right.
So they gotta make that $30,000 gap up, and that gets added back into your rollback rate, okay? So that's why your rollback rate looks a little funky than what's the number gonna be exactly what I got last year.
It's taking out new construction, and then it's removing last year's TIF money and putting in this year's projected TIF money. That's what's different.
So when, like with McDonald's, they backed out the McDonald's.
Correct.
The McDonald's bill,
$1.5
okay.
million of new.
So,
new tax
Mayor, I have a
Yes.
question. So, I have a question for you. Thank you. And remind me of your name, please.
Justin Edwards.
Justin
Edwards.
Edwards. Thank you. I don't hear so well anymore. Thank you.
I'll talk fast, I apologize.
I know you do, like an auctioneer. So my concern is, we have this, higher rollback rate. And the way taxes are structured now, ad valorem taxes in Florida, commercial and residential entities pay different rates. We have different caps. As a homeowner, my husband and I have a cap. New residents, especially those who move from outside the state of Florida, don't have a cap. We have, for example, we have people who have moved here recently from out of state and they have waterfront property on Crescent Lake. So when our rollback rate is quite a bit higher than last year's rate, how does that affect the non-capped properties versus the capped properties?
So correct one thing you said, and that's that there's not different rates for residential, commercial, tangible, personal, it's all the same rate. What rate you decide on, as your proposed millage rate, is what everybody will get. It's an ad valorem, it's based on value, so we value it, and then we start with the just value, which is basically how much you
Okay,
get.
I'm sorry, I said that wrong.
That's
There-
3% and 10%
There
cap.
are differentials. in
Yes, that's what I'm
different-
gonna get to. So we start off with the just value, that's what you probably get as your market value, right? So we're kind of shooting for when we do our assessments. And then we take off any adjustments, which would be your caps. So in the case of a homestead property, it's 3% per year, or CPI, whichever's less, okay? So if you have been in your home for 10, 15, 20 years, you're gonna have a much larger cap differential than someone who just bought last year.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, their taxes are gonna be lower than the person who just bought last year at just value, okay? And this is the conversations we have with taxpayers. As soon as trim notices go out, the first thing that happens usually is you have the meeting at the corner, in the middle of the street. What are you paying? What are you paying? And then, well, I'm gonna go and talk to the property appraiser, and they come in and talk to us. We have to explain that to them. As the legislature said that, I think 1995 is when the State Homes came into play. And so it is very beneficial. The whole idea was that we don't want you taxed out of your home, out of your homestead home. So it can only increase 3% or CPI, whichever's less. Last couple of years, CPI has been more than 3%. So that's the first thing we take off the bill. The second thing is any exemptions you have. If you have homestead, that's 25 on the first 25,000 of value, up to 25 on the third 25,000 of value. There's also military, blind, disability, all kind of exemptions that are out there. And we always encourage you to come out to our office and apply for everything you think you might be entitled to. And so after you take off the exemptions, you're at taxable value. And so yes, there is a disparity between the new homeowner and the established homeowner. And there's this a differential between the new business owner and the old business property owner who has been there for a while, and they've made additions and they've built up over years and their values increased, but it only can increase by 10% per year for non-homestead.
Okay, and that was, I'm sorry, I said rates. I really meant the disparity between the capped and the not so capped,
Correct.
and the differential between the new and the longtime business owner.
Right.
So say, for example, that we choose the rollback rate, which is 8.7 something. How would that affect people who do not have caps, say second homeowners, or someone who just bought their residential property that's quite valuable within the last couple of years?
They're gonna pay the same millage no
Yeah.
matter what.
The millage will stay the same. They can, and they have a cap, they do have a cap, they have a 10% cap.
That's capital.
But she's saying
Yeah,
if
the
they just
valuation.
purchased it without a cap.
I'm saying for second homeowners, which we have quite a few rental property owners, and recent homeowners, right, they pay the same millage, but, is it going to have a significant, I mean, I'm trying to figure out, we're talking about setting the rates here. So how is the disparity going to be, more market this year? I mean, how would you describe the effect that going to a higher millage would have on a property owner that does not have the benefit of much of a cap?
They're gonna pay more.
And
And it's a higher rate,
Yeah.
so unless the value of their home went down considerably, they're gonna pay more
Right, and
taxes.
as the mayor asked, our ad valorem rates here in Crescent City have gone up, correct?
And lowering rates.
No, I mean, valuation, sorry,
Valuation.
I'm saying, I'm
Yeah,
getting.
There's a lot
overall-
of, there's a lot of technical words.
Right, and I'm getting overtime, so
Overall, the taxable value has gone up, yes.
up 6%, so
No,
people.
no, no,
want
no.
that.
That's the issue that the FPNL discussion really doesn't help.
Right.
There's the tangible personal property, then there's essentially assessed, which you don't have to worry about, and then there's the real property. So on the real property side, which is the commercial and residential you've been speaking of,
Yes,
it's up 6.25%.
that's what I was looking
Right,
at,
but the
yes,
TPP is down
okay,
60%.
but if someone is a property owner, their ad valorem valuation has gone up 6%. So the millage that we arrive at, if someone doesn't have a cap, they're gonna be paying more taxes.
The 6% is in its totality, it's overall, it's spread over among all the properties in the limits, Crescent City.
Including our 3% that we as,
I mean, if I'm on, the water,
Right,
then my percentage of increase may be way more than 6.25%.
that's what I'm saying, the higher value properties that don't have a cap, they're going to bear a higher.
But it depends on when I purchased it. If I purchased it this year, then I would, but if I purchased it 10 years ago, I may be paying as a percentage lower than somebody who purchased not on the water this year. That's how the capping works. Once you start capping, then you build up this differential between assessed and market. I feel like I'm not answering your question very well, maybe I don't understand it, but the millage rate, of course, is gonna be applied to all of the properties. The cap depends on when you purchased it. The value increase is gonna be based on where it's located, the features that the property has, age, office age, quality, that kind of stuff. So it's very difficult, which is back to my point about FP&L, the tax roll as a whole is just that complicated as well. So to pull out FP&L and say, well, let's point at that as the issue, it certainly didn't help. And it was an issue, and it could have been a lot worse for Crescent City if we would have done a certificate of correction at to lower 23 down to the same as 24. That would have been very, very painful, which is why we asked them. I mean, FP&L, I don't want them to look like the villain in all of this. FP&L, they ain't their mistake. Essentially, they stepped it down, and so.
Can I have one thing?
Yeah.
So I would say to your example, so the person who bought last year and went to just value last year, well, we've lowered base rates this year for buildings, we've lowered land in a lot of areas, so that person, they might see a decrease in their tax bill. While somebody who's been homesteader for 20 years has this big cap differential, we lowered their just value, however, they're gonna recapture at 3%. Theirs might go up, or they should go up, right? So it's very much a case-by-case basis, depending on when you purchased, how long you've been in the home or owned the property, and how much the value has increased over time.
Okay, and so Mayor, essentially, I'm just trying to get a feel, because right now, we don't have any concrete numbers on how we will be affecting people by the way we choose, but that will be, the trim notices will actually answer that question, correct? So before we set our final win rate, the trim notices will go out and we have our hearing.
and it will
So-
show them the different
Right,
Yes,
so,
yeah.
correct, yes.
scenarios. It'll show them the different scenarios.
right, so in other words, every taxpayer in Crescent City will get a trim notice that will show what the rate would be if, I mean, I can
If we
see,
did a rollback.
right, if we do the rollback versus, the current taxable, the current millage rate. I mean, I can see my trim notice, that I get every year in my
Right, that's got
head.
the columns.
So in other words, as far as what we choose today, we will have a time period to see the impact of that. And anyone who chooses to come and testify or talk to us informally before the meeting, we can ask our neighbors what their trim notice is.
Yes, so, I think that's true. But, I probably yield to Mr. Martin, but, he may advise you better than I, but, the purpose of now is to set your maximum millage.
Yes, we understand that.
Yeah, so you're setting your
Right.
max millage now. You'll give that information to us.
Right.
We will incorporate it into the trim notices.
Right.
And they'll display what you paid last year, what you paid if the proposed goes through,
Right.
and what you would pay if the millage rate of the rollback was chosen.
Right.
Okay, then you have so day one for this process is July 1st for budgets. Between day 65 and 85, which is the middle of September, is when you have your final hearing.
Right.
To figure out where you want to go. You want to stay where you proposed, or if you want to come down. You can't go up, you can come down though.
Okay, so in other words, what I was looking for is some kind of forecast or general prediction, but we don't really need that crystal ball because we have the trim notice.
Correct.
And
That's
that's
what's
to
there for.
provide the data that I want and probably the rest of the commission wants, because everyone will get a concrete, whatever maximum millage rate we choose, the trim notice will give every property owner the calculation for their taxes.
Correct.
And then they can come tell us about it and we can make our final decision.
We put in the date of your final hearing for approval
Right.
on the trim notice, along with numbers, time, and, location, so that they can come and express their views.
Well, and so also, when do those notices go out?
August the 15th.
Yeah, August 15th.
Okay.
And this year you will include us on our bills, on the trim notices? Well, no, because I was true. We were completely
Well,
left out.
there was
And then,
an
and also our phone number has been incorrect before.
There was an error.
So we take that information off of the certification of the DR 420. So as long as it's on there correctly on the DR 420, we'll make sure it gets in there correctly.
No, there was a computer fluke last year. Some people got a trim notice with 0 for their,
No one got a trim notice for Crescent City on it.
I think so, whatever.
Got a
I'm sure.
trim notice, it just didn't have it just didn't have us included in that, so,
Right.
but you corrected that.
Yes.
We were all excited there for a little while.
Right, and people thought.
I mean, yeah, the mayor was very happy her taxes were down.
Christmas in July.
Yeah.
Or
August.
Yeah.
August.
Okay, so I'm gonna, two things I wanna ask you, and I know you can't give us, you really shouldn't give us advice. So today, we're sitting here with a budget that we're still working with. And so it would be in your opinion, in our best interest, that because we have the ability to come down on that what would the impact if we do it at the rollback rate, which is higher?
Yeah, I would say that would be a decision for them.
I know, just, now I'm gonna throw you a curveball.
Uh-oh.
So the curveball is of course, we know what's going on in Tallahassee, in the discussions as far as our ad valorem. Do you have any thoughts on that? Are you hearing anything?
As far as Governor DeSantis and what's
And I'm trying to do away with
Yeah,
property.
so you may know that there's a select committee that the House is 37-member select committee.
Yeah.
Justin Sapp is on that. Justin Sapp's going to be speaking at the Republican Club next month. So I'm sure he's going to bring that up.
And that's what, August 14th at the fairgrounds, I think?
I can't remember the exact date.
I
It'll be
believe
the
it's August
second
14th at the
Thursday.
fairgrounds, it's in.
Yeah, it's the second Thursday of the month, yeah. So he would be a better one to explain that. He actually has, as I understand it, he has a plan that he's kind of put together that he's maturing as he goes along that would help with the governor's, at least, idea that we would reduce or eliminate taxes on homesteaded property, as I understand his plan. So, where that happens, this select committee is going to go on the road, they say, for the next few months to try to get input from different individuals in different areas. So, I'm not sure where that's going to end up.
If they're unable to do that with the exemption that they were gonna give across the board, the $100,000, are you hearing that? Is that also in part of this discussion?
So the Speaker Perez, when he stood up this select committee, he gave them 5 different ideas to begin with, to start the discussion. I've viewed the select committee discussions that they met twice, that I recall. They didn't seem very warm to any of those. They kind of discussed them, but none of them really kind of got everybody's attention. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what they come up with.
Us, like all municipalities across the state of Florida, this is,
Right.
and counties,
And
we're all very,
Concerned about it.
very concerned,
Yeah.
what the impact this is gonna have for us and the services that we provide for
Right,
residents,
yeah.
especially our
Rightfully so.
emergency services.
Yeah, that's right, rightfully so.
Okay. Do you have any other questions?
No, just a thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Thank you, Bud.
Thank you.
Thank you for, I apologize that, that we didn't expect you to have to go this late.
It's fine. That,
So we appreciate you coming up and giving us kind of an overview, and hopefully the public can watch this as well, and so they can get a better understanding. So
Very
we
good, thank you.
greatly appreciate it.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
having
guys.
me. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a resolution, in front of us.
Mayor, before they leave, I just could, are they able to help us? I just want to make sure in the title of our resolution, we have the correct tax year. Which tax year do we need to be in?
How should we state this in our resolution? Should it be tax year 2026 or tax year 2025/26?
I'm not sure, so we are currently what we work off would be called the 2025 tax year.
Okay.
So, but I'm not sure, like I said, we play a role, y'all play a role. I have certain things that I can see and y'all can't, so I'm not sure if that should be 25, 26 or 2025.
Based on our resolution last year was
What was that?
25.
Yeah, so I think.
So
Okay,
2025.
and I apologize, but we have almost a completely new staff since last year. We don't have the same clerk, we don't have the same city manager. So we're just kind of double checking everything.
Sure, I always encourage staff to reach out to other municipalities who have some more experienced staff. Town of Interlochen has a very capable and experienced clerk. City of Palaca, I think they're more your size-ish. They also have gone through this process a couple years, so they can help you as well.
We can also reach out to Department of Revenue. They'd probably be
Correct.
the best ones to ask because they're the ones that are gonna correct us if we're wrong.
That's correct, you don't have to go across
So
the.
we'll reach out to Department of Revenue. Mr. Martin, if you'll make sure that tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Tomorrow, if you would make sure that you do that, contact them, or you or Steve, and make sure that we've got it correct.
I mean, I think it's been taxed for 2025, 26.
Okay.
The one thing that I want to bring up is, we worked very hard last year to go and lower our tax rate. Our millage rate was at 8.5914 for the last 10 years. And I just really hate that we would just throw that out the window just because of one bad year. I mean, we worked hard to bring that down. I think all of us are working to try and bring down taxes. We have one of the highest tax rates in, we do have the highest tax rate, municipal tax rate in Putnam County. We have one of the highest millage rates in the state of Florida, especially at 8.5914. To go with the rollback rate, or even set the maximum millage at 8.7164. I don't know where that would put us, but it would definitely not improve our ranking as far as the highest millage rates in the state. And that's what we're doing, and even though it's not technically, according to the Department of Revenue laws and the Florida statutes, we're not doing a tax increase, but we are. I mean, everyone, unless the value of your house went down, you're going to pay a higher price. And that's a higher tax rate when it's all said and done. And the difference between 8.7164 and 8.434 is $39,000, correct?
35,621.
And it's just to me, and also setting that millage rate at that, even though we can go down, that's what people are gonna see on their trim notices as if the proposed tax rate goes into effect. So even if we can bring it down later, that's what people are gonna see on their trim notices, that's what people are gonna think, because that's what it says. And I hear people always complaining about the tax rate and how high taxes are, and I just don't wanna go in that direction, but that's just my feeling.
Okay, can I share a few thoughts? So, yes, we have a high tax rate for Putnam County. However, we provide more services than most municipalities, than the other small municipalities. We provide funding for, special law enforcement. We are a full-service city, as John Newbold said, with water and sewer. Will that kind of come on par? Goodness gracious, sorry, that's nervy. Dog.
Don't you use that dog?
Let me just recap, what was I trying to say here? We actually, we punch above our weight in South Putnam because we have provided either our own police force or the coverage by the sheriff's deputies for years. And we also support a fire department that answers a lot of calls outside the city. If you look at the stats that our fire department supplies. So we do a lot both for our residents in terms of roads, sidewalks, full service utilities, law enforcement, and we really contribute, I think, to the well-being of the area of South Putnam around us because of what we do. It's not because we are wasting money and people, we have a quality of life here. So, I agree. I was in favor of the rollback rate, but we are at a point, I mean, this is our opportunity to set the maximum millage. We are at a point where we have to do that. We don't have to enact that. The trim notice says, this is what happens if the rate changes, this is what happens if it stays the same. And I certainly want to do our best to keep the lowest millage rate possible, but given that we have a new city manager, we're finally stabilizing our audit situation, there's some unknowns out there. And I think the mayor had a very good point when she said we don't want to lock ourselves into an untenable situation. And my recommendation would be that we go ahead and set the maximum millage at the rollback rate, but that we make an effort to write a letter to our residents and let them know why we did this. And to let them know that if we get good numbers and things look good with the budget, that we did that in an abundance of caution, and we're gonna make every effort to enact the lowest rate possible. Because I don't wanna box ourselves in. We do not yet have a contract with the sheriff, and that is a very, very significant amount. Just there's some unknowns out there. And, you know, we can't help it that we had the new city manager come in June. We can't help that. That's just the timing of it. So anyway, I don't think there's anything wrong particularly, and I think there's something else we need a letter of explanation for to the public. I think it calls for explanation. But we're not locked into it by any means.
Okay, commissioners, do we have any other thoughts on this?
No.
I know last year, you know, and Steve, I'd ask you if you can, if you wanna speak to this. I mean, you were involved in this and we worked really hard. And that was something that, you know, Charles really wanted to see, that we were able to do that. At the same time, we also know as we go forward in this next fiscal year that, you know, from a competitive salaries, that if we have to do any replacements, that we really did hinder ourselves this last year. And we're just crossing our fingers right now that all those revenues come in, and we're banking on those revenues come in. And, you know, we are blessed that we do have, you know, that $313,000, you know, additional dollars that we can put in here to help take care of some things that we, you know, need to take care of. But we also have to provide certain services. I mean, there's a level of services that we have to provide to the citizens, and they expect. And so, you know, and the other thing too is when we do this, we're setting it on ourselves as well. That, you know, this is we're setting this rate on our taxes, on our home taxes as well. So we all feel this, and it's not a pleasant place to be in, and I think it caught us all by surprise that, at least our rollback, we never expected our rollback to come in and be at that. And we're gonna have to adjust accordingly. So with that,
We sound so sad here, like, oh my gosh, we're all gonna die right here because we set it at 8.7, 146 or whatever. But I think, Commissioner DeVito, you're right. It's not locked in stone, and I think that this commission will work hard to bring it where it belongs, and that's what we have to go with, okay? We have to say, hey, team, we know how to do this, we did it last year, but there are some unknowns, and to set it at 8.7, whatever, will not lock us into 8.4 in case, hey, things don't come in the way that we planned, so I think that's the plan.
And so my light bulb moment was when I realized the trim notices, because they can't give us a crystal ball and tell us what the different property owners will be assessed at, but everyone will get that letter. We can get the feedback well before the meeting. So I guess that being said, I would like to move resolution number 2025-04, setting, I guess, with, for the tax year 2025-26 to be verified with the language in the title with the Department of Revenue. And setting our millage at 8.71664.
8.716.
I am reading, is there an?
Here it is, right here.
In the
Look at your
document.
trim, look at your trim. I'm not your trim, look at your DD 420.
Sorry, okay, there's an error in this document, where it should,
Line is 16.
line 16. Okay, yeah, there's an extra 6, I'm sorry, setting our millage, maximum allowable millage at 8.7164 per 1,000.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. As far as discussion, Commission, I do wanna, and when you look at our title and when you read this in here, it's setting the tentative maximum millage.
Yeah.
And so we don't have that in there, and I think that language might be, that we should put that in here.
Okay.
And I know, but when you,
Doesn't
it doesn't say tentative. It says setting the maximum millage. So for some people that, when you put that tentative, because that's really what it is when you put that tentative, it helps as far as an understanding that that's not necessarily in stone.
My only question is this a legal, are we allowed to do that? Can we change the wording? Because it does say in the second whereas clause, but will not prevent them from eventually adopting a lower millage.
And I did, and so that's where I was wondering if we didn't put it there, would you want to put it setting the tentative millage at this juncture will prevent? I just think that if you put something in there to show that this is temporary,
I'm just saying, we don't have our city attorney here, are we allowed to change the title?
I don't know. So,
I'll follow up tomorrow.
but it's whether or not, if you can, if that's something that the commissioner has their pleasure to do. Right now, let's go ahead. We have a motion on the table, and a proper second to set the millage, the tentative, maximum millage at 8.7164. Do we have any other discussion?
I would like to make a second motion that.
Can we do this first one first? I'd like to take care of this first one, and then you can come in and do the second.
Sure, but I'm saying, I really think we need to do the second motion to agree to do a letter to the public and we can approve it.
You could do the second one after we do that, okay? I'm gonna ask do we have any public comment? Okay, seeing no one come forward for public comment, I'm gonna close public comment. Madam Clerk, if you do a roll call, please.
Commissioner DeVito,
Aye.
Commissioner Lori,
Nay.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Burton,
Aye.
Mayor Myers.
Aye. Okay, so approved, and Commissioner DeVito, you said you had another.
Yes, I move that, in conjunction with setting our, potential maximum millage at the rollback rate of 8.7164, I got that right? That we prepare a letter of explanation to distribute to, all our taxpayers in Crescent City. That we draft a version, or have the city manager draft a version, and that we approve that, at our August 5th, special meeting, so that we can get a notification out to explain, why we did what we did, and try to
Do
reach.
we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a proper motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion?
Are we gonna nail that out to everybody, or are we going to utility bills? It's quite a bit of postage.
Yeah, if it is gonna be a lot of postage and our bills won't go out, well, our bills will go out at the end of August. So,
I would say that would be timely, we can also put it on our, we have a city
we have a
Facebook,
website, yeah,
we have a city
and
Facebook
a
page,
website.
so obviously since we're in the budget season, we should be economical about it.
Yes, we should. Okay, so we have a proper motion and a second. Madam
Commissioner
Clerk?
Burton,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Lori,
Aye.
Commissioner DeVito,
Aye.
Mayor Myers.
Aye. Okay, so approved. And you'll get the actual verbiage that needs to be on this resolution,
Yes, ma'am.
make sure.
Yes, ma'am.
DOR. And that's the other thing, commissioners, if they do allow us to put tentative, do we want to do that or just leave it as it's currently written?
Because to be a tentative maximum millage would mean that it's not set as the maximum millage. So I think we're just getting in
Okay,
trouble,
I just
trying to change the words.
That's right,
Okay, I just want to make sure that, I'm just trying to, so that people have a good understanding.
right, but it's the maximum millage, and I think Commissioner Roy's right, if you try to, nuance it, you may change the legal meaning, and then the operative words are the last part of the second whereas clause, will not prevent them from eventually adopting a lower millage.
So we do that.
Good one.
Commissioner DeVito, you asked for a couple of minutes, you had some to add on to the general. Was there something that you wanted to add on?
Yes, I just need to find my notes, but also, are we considering requests for
yes.
funding, or
Yes, we are
do we have to do that? Do we have
Yes,
to
we
spend
do.
money?
We do, because one of these requests that came in has a deadline
Yes,
Before we
early
meet.
August.
before we meet.
I believe it's August 10th.
So we have, what do we have, $900 in that account
Yes, ma'am.
currently to spend? Okay.
And-
We have two requests. We haven't gotten the one, we usually get one from, it's the library is usually included in this in some way, yes.
I think a representative of the library.
Yes,
is
President, she is, she is. If she wants to speak to it, she is welcome to speak to it. So what you have in front of you, do you want to talk about this, Mr. Martin?
Sure, so we were, basically, it was a request made by the Crescent City Women's Civic Association for a gift card, donated food, monetary donation, donated items to school for the annual back to school giveaway event, which is on August 10th.
They do this, and I've gone over there, and if you haven't ever gone over there, you really should. It's really neat what they do. They have, one of the churches has donated all these backpacks, and then they try to get donations and fill them.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're very low on the amount of donations, but then they have children come in, they give them haircuts, there's clothes, they feed them. It really is a neat day. The families come in, the kids get to pick out which backpack they want, and they try to fill them. So, they really haven't ever reached out to us before to help with this, but they have this year with anything that we could do. And our fire department is usually there, and also the sheriff's department. Holly with the sheriff's department has been there, and they feed them a nice lunch. They get a nice lunch, so.
Well, did they ask for a suggested amount?
They did not.
They did not.
That would be appreciated. If you're involved with this, are you involved with this, Commissioner Moore, at all?
No, but I will donate.
Miss Sid, and Miss Sid helps out a lot with this.
Yes, this is our daughter.
Yeah.
So,
And then we also have in front of us from the South Putnam Christian Service Center, where they would also ask that we make a donation.
well, would you say we have $900 in there?
We have $900 in there. And then if you would like to, you wanna speak on behalf of the library? Sure.
Don't we also give the Crescent Service Center
We do.
the utility?
And they just got, how many, Steve, I asked you for that amount, how much have they received so far this year? Where people can give a donation with their utility billing if they want, $270,
I think $270, I
I
believe.
think $270 they just received. Yes, ma'am. The Christian Service Center. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Nancy Taylor, Crescent City Library Board, 610 North Summit Street. This year we've had a lot of additions to the library, a lot of upgrades. We've got a new roof, we have new carpet, we have new paint. The parking lot has been restriped and sealed. There are a couple other things on our list of maintenance that's gonna be done. We just haven't, take a little bit of time, as Ms. Burton always says, wheels of government roll too slow. Anyhow, they're on the list and they're getting done. And there's some things that we want to do. The library, when they painted, they took all of our pictures down. And there were a lot of pictures that were very significant to Crescent City. Several by Louise Tucker, who was a resident here years ago, and they were streetscapes of Crescent City maybe in the 50s. And so we want to put them back on the walls, and we need to get hanger strips because we've been forbidden to put nails in the wall again. So, because there was lots of nail holes before the painting. And we want to index those, so you can go and say, oh, well, that's pretty, oh, that's number one, we can go look and see, number one, Louise Tucker, what it was, little bio about her. She was a really nice lady who lived here a long time ago. They had a fruit stand down next to Amigos, she and her husband, and that's one thing we're gonna try to do. We're also working on trying to have a small garden at the library with flowers. And we've tentatively talked to Rotary about their monarch butterfly garden. And we can't do anything firm about that, but we've talked about that anyway. So just things to make the library more beautiful. We mulched the front so it looks much better. The GROTC guys helped us out with that. They were really great. This year also, our library finally, after, 5 or 6 years, we're fully staffed. And it's been a long time coming to get that because we had a revolving door managers for a year. The other thing we want to do is, a few years ago when we had our open house, we had a brochure. It was very amateurs made, because I did it. But we want to have a nice brochure we can put out, like a trifold glossy. We can have it in the library, but also put in places like maybe the Chamber of Commerce, and lots of places have these little racks you can put, like the Historical Society at Bronson Mulholland House has that. And so that's the things we want to be doing this year. Anyhow, for decades, y'all have been very generous in giving the library money every year, and we really appreciate it, so just keep us in mind.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So we have 3 entities right now that we're considering, so commissioners, I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to take our $900, divide it by 3, and give each entity $300 apiece.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second, do we have any other discussion? I have that written down as well.
Well, we usually contribute $500 to the library, and I don't know how much, the back to school event needs.
Well, I'm not gonna be the judge of how much either one needs.
Right.
There's needs all over.
Right.
And I think, we normally have a little bit more money to give. We just don't at this time, okay? So,
Well, I'm just saying, I gave recently to a youth event, and I was planning to donate as well. I think the back to school event is going to get individual donations. But, so I would do a little differently. I was gonna max them at 200.
We don't have a second yet.
No, I second.
Oh, did you second? You did second. You did
Second,
second. You did
I
second.
was gonna suggest 100 or 200 because I think they will get quite a bit of individual donations.
I will tell you that, from experience in the past, in the last couple of years that I've been involved with this, that they don't, and out scrambling at the last minute, trying to get monies and trying to get supplies to fill these backpacks. And sometimes the backpacks might have a pack of paper and some pencils, a pen, it just depends on the age group, or ruler, but, they have struggled. I will tell you this, in the past, they have struggled, and they depend, any dollar they get, and it does go towards.
I'm just trying to be equitable.
I understand that too, with limited amount of money.
Yeah, we have a limited amount of money and normally
We're
we
being
do
fair
get
to
more.
all three.
But, yeah, we definitely, I think, let's just do it across the board, $300.
We have a proper motion in a second. Do we have any other comments? Commissioner Moore, you have anything? Okay.
Commissioner DeVito,
I
Commissioner Lori,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Burton,
Aye.
Mayor Myers.
Aye. Okay, so approved. So Commissioner DeVito,
Yes, I had a
long
long
day.
I know, it's been a very long day, and I had a very long driving trip visiting relatives, so I'm tired. If you wonder why I'm tired, it was not out partying, I was driving around North Carolina visiting relatives
Okay.
in 4 cities. So, in terms of our budget, and we are trying to, keep our millage rate as low as possible, so I just wanted to throw these out. We talked about, having the staff lay out for us, the total amount of salaries and what are the impacts on the budget. I think they built in 5%. What would be the impacts? What do we want to ask them for? Do we want to see it at 2% or 3%? We want a comparison, correct?
That's what we asked her for.
Is 2 and 3 or?
I thought we did 2, 3, and 5.
We have 3, 2, and 0.
Okay.
On top of 5, so 5,
Okay.
2, 0.
Okay,
So we
so-
have 4 comparisons.
Yes, we do.
So we're going to look at that and I made a list of things, I don't know if they're all feasible, just throw these out here. Potentially consolidate offices, use the annex for storage only, that could save on electricity and certainly the regular, right now it gets a regular cleaning cost, I think of $100 a week?
Oh, no, it's,
How much?
the whole thing is 180, and so I don't know.
Or $80, but it's a weekly amount.
It's a weekly amount,
Okay.
that's not $100 for the annex. The brunt of it's this building.
Well, I think it's, but anyway, so I'm just saying consolidate offices. Maybe maintain fewer porta potties, we pay quite a bit for porta potties. Look at our water costs. We still have docks that need to be repaired. Maybe we should look at how much repair, how many docks we maintain. I would like to know, I've never seen what are the damage costs for the park facilities and bathrooms, because not all of those are paid for by insurance. Asking neighbors to maybe help us watch at some of the parks where vandalism tends to occur. And as well, try to get participation from property owners for right-of-way maintenance wherever possible, because some people maintain the right-of-way and some people do not. And that,
My ordinance, they're supposed to maintain their own way in front of their house.
right, well, some people do and some people don't, and a lot of times our city staff have to. So, I can write these down and share them with the city manager and the rest of the commission. So those are just some that I thought of. I would love to hear any ideas that the rest of the commission has. So those are just, the salaries are probably the main one, but there might be others and small amounts on a monthly basis add up. Then the other thing I wanted to ask about, Mayor, is as well the status of the the Winn-Dixie resolution / petition. I saw the petition was posted on our Facebook page.
Yes, thanks to Commissioner Lori and Rachel, we did get that posted. It was posted on Tuesday afternoon, and right now, earlier, what is it at right now?
Right now it's 903, I believe.
Yeah, 903. We also have it at Three Bananas, and they have already filled. They're working on their third page of signatures.
I'm sorry, 912.
912, they're working on their third page of signatures there. We had shared it with the town of Pearson, we shared it with Pomona Park. The town of Pearson was looking into, because they're included in that. And I know already, I believe, several of them have signed it from down there. So it is, I also sent it to Larry and asked him so that he knew, he was aware of it and to share with them what we were doing. And as soon as I think we get more of I think it will probably fade out the first of next week, then we're gonna go, I think we should go ahead and send it on and ask for the meeting with them at that time. But they do know, they are aware that there is a petition out there and that it's getting strong support. And you said how many? There's 300 comments.
Yeah, there was over 300 comments. I mean,
Well,
people
and that was the thing,
very,
well, that was the thing I wanted to really
emotional.
bring up. In the comments, I'm noticing that there's a lack of understanding and pushback, and some people are sharing a petition and they don't say where it came from. So to me, I think it would be helpful as well to post on our website the resolution and also, and I'm willing to do a draft of it and bring it back next week, a letter of explanation about, just very short letter, where this petition came from, that we voted to distribute it, why we did it, and that previously we passed a resolution asking the commercial entities to work with us for the benefit of Crescent City. Because some people are just, they're all over the place. They are saying, you should have done it last year. It won't do any good. They've already decided. I think a little context would help. And, even if it doesn't get that many more petitions signed, I think it would help to have people understand that, number one, we, the commission, are trying to be proactive, and secondly, for those who don't understand it, it would just help them. Because nobody knows where this came from in large part. It's just
And we
there.
didn't, we didn't, we put it out there as,
Well, it's in there.
yes, yes, it's out there, and I noticed that we'll be happy, I'll be happy to do that as well. So,
I'm just saying, everybody here has done something, or Commissioner Burke didn't approve it, so I don't want to include her in that. But you and Commissioner Lori have worked quite a bit, and so if it's acceptable, I would just draft a little paragraph and bring it back.
that's fine. Everybody's okay with that,
I have one question very quick. For the salary portion, can we summarize and pull out of the budget without having to print all the pages? Just a quick report for you all on those percentages to the overall budget, and then also just lump sum for each of those. Is that okay?
I think that would be helpful to me, actually, instead of printing like 3 different budgets, I thought like a summary with the line items that would also be very easy to digest.
We were not sure, that's why you
That's
all
fine,
had
that's
this
fine.
today.
I'm just saying
And we
that's
have
a
the
good way
three,
to
but
do it.
now we have a target, so thank you very much.
Okay, do we have anything else? Anybody have anything, any announcements before next week?
I move that we adjourn.
Okay, we have a proper motion for adjournment.
And
Archie, do you want to second that? Do we have a second?
I'll second it
Okay,
for Archie.
all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, so adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, everybody. Is there anything to do? Hand you.
Just in my leg.
Pick up.
He done, I
I didn't bring the tree and